I'm Zunaira Azhar and this is Decode. Tonight we are doing something we do not usually do. We are not going to lead with three different or separate stories. We are going to tell one story in three movements because the major development of this week is not any single event. It is the whole architecture behind the events. It is the reason every olive branch is dying. First, the day before, where things actually stand 24 hours from expiry. Second, why Iran has stopped trusting the United States and why Reuters and other major newsroom is now reporting that the breakdown of trust as a fact, not a perception. And third, most underrated yet most important part about the spoilers in Tel Aviv who have a direct access to Washington and the Oval Office who do not want this war to end, and what President Trump now has to decide. Let's decode the night. It is Monday, April 20th. The two-week ceasefire that Pakistan brokered between the United States and Iran on April 8th expires on Wednesday. Trump has said publicly he will not extend it. Reuters, Al Jazeera, the BBC, CNN, NPR, every major wire is leading tonight with the same fact. Every major wire is leading tonight with the same fact. Iran has formally rejected the second round of talks. Trump's delegation, Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner is flying to Islamabad reportedly. The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai said this morning that Washington had, quote, violated the ceasefire from the beginning of its implementation. He cited two breaches: the American naval blockade of Iranian ports in place since April 13th and the overnight seizure of an Iranian container ship by the United States military. Baghai called it a war crime and a crime against humanity. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian called Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Sunday to deliver the same message in private. The blockade is a violation of the UN Charter. Talks cannot proceed under it. And in South Lebanon, where a separate Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire is meant to be in its sixth day, the Israeli military has just published a map showing 5 divisions deployed up to 10 kilometers inside Lebanese territory. Hezbollah responded yesterday afternoon by destroying 4 Israeli tanks in a convoy near Deir Syrian. This is the picture. 24 hours before expiry, a ceasefire being violated by both sides, a blockade that had not lifted, a naval seizure, a rejected talks process, and a parallel Lebanon ceasefire that is dying in real time. Let me read you something. This is from the Iranian ambassador to Pakistan, Raza Amiri Muqaddam, on his official X account on Sunday. Quote, "You cannot keep violating the international law. Double down on your blockade. Threaten Iran with further war crimes, insist on unreasonable demands, pace out with rhetoric and pretend to be pursuing diplomacy. As long as the naval blockade remains, fault lines remains." This is not the language of a country that thinks it is in a negotiation. That is a language of a country that thinks it has been deceived. And it is the language Iranian officials are now using publicly, on the record, in English, on every wire service in the world. So here is what is happening tonight. The Trump administration is publicly saying it is sending its top team to Islamabad for a deal. The Iranian government is publicly saying it will not attend, and that no deal is possible while American warships are firing on Iranian commercial vessels. Both governments are talking past each other for their own audiences, and the ceasefire that was supposed to be extended into a permanent framework, that ceasefire dies on Wednesday at midnight unless something changes. And I want to be direct with our viewers about something. The reason it dies is not because Iran is being unreasonable. We will get to that in story 2. The reason it dies is because the United States made a choice on Friday, made another choice on Saturday, and made a third choice on Sunday. And all of these 3 choices do not favor the peace process. Pakistan, as the mediator, is the most difficult position in. Field Marshal Asim Munir flew to Tehran. Prime Minister Sharif called Pezeshkian. Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar has been in Antalya, Riyadh, and now back in Islamabad. The Iranian ambassador said last week, quote, "Iran will only be doing talks in Pakistan because we trust Pakistan." Pakistan has, by every account, done its job. The mediation is not the problem. The will of the parties is, and specifically the will of the Washington. Let's bring in our guest. We have with us Dr. Qamar Cheema, who is an IR expert. Thank you so much, Dr. Qamar, for joining us. Let me start by saying that Pakistan has done what no other country has been able to do for nearly 50 years, 47 years to be precise. It has put the United States and Iran in the same room. Field Marshal Munir has shuttled to Tehran. Prime Minister has personally engaged with the President Pezeshkian. And tonight, on the day before the expiry of the ceasefire, the effort is on the brink of collapsing. Not because of Iranian people, I would say, but because of American conduct, in my opinion, in the Gulf. How do you look at it?
Thank you very much for having me. I think at the moment there is more of a public posturing which is going on. And both the parties, they do believe that they need to have concrete talks because only the concrete talks will have, a mature ceasefire. So I think what Pakistan could do was that Pakistan did a good, Pakistan provided a good, Pakistan was a good facilitator of, in fact, bringing both the countries on table, and we brought them on table to whom the Americans and the Iranians appreciated, and they only called that Pakistan is the only mediator which is involved. And if you remember, the White House spokesperson said that other nations were interested, but President Trump only wants Pakistan to be the negotiator. At the same time, the Iranians appreciate Pakistan's role. So I think we are at this position where the Americans and Iranians are doing a lot of public posturing, which we have seen last night at the Strait of Hormuz, where one of Iranian ship was seized by the Americans. The Iranians are calling this is a violation of the ceasefire. At the same time, I think Iran has an issue of mistrust that they believe that they don't trust the American administration. But I think if they don't trust, if they don't sit on table, if they don't talk, how to move on. I think that is one of the important thing. So to give peace a chance, they need to sit and they need to talk, and they need to get out of that previous skepticism which they had.
Reuters and the wires world over are reporting that Iran has rejected the second round. American delegation, what we know so far, is flying anyway. From a mediator's perspective, what does this look like? Is Trump's team coming to negotiate, or Trump's team coming so that it can restart the war, saying that they were willing and Iranian never showed up? What's going on in the moment?
I believe that nobody is interested in war, neither the Americans nor the Iranians. But the Iranians believe that they have fought well. They engaged the entire region in this war, and so they believe that they need to get maximum when they sit on the table. That is one point. The second most important thing is that the Americans believe that they have the highest military capability. They are into this game where nobody could bomb Iran's nuclear program, so they want to get maximum on the table as well. So I think that's what I see. But I think both the sides will have to give relaxations to each other, otherwise things will not move on. And here comes the hawks on both sides, and they need not to pay attention to the hawks, and they need to give peace a chance. And if the war starts, I think that is a failure of the leadership on both sides.
You said both sides are doing it for their respective public consumption. In my opinion, both sides want peace, especially the consumer, I would say. Iranians, they have suffered a lot in terms of the civilian infrastructure and human lives. And when it goes to the American consumer, we all know what's going on to their grocery list. So if the both sides are posturing for the public consumption, don't you think it's totally opposite of what the people want?
Obviously, people don't want this kind of a war. People want to have a hope. People want that their leaders to be on the table to create more hope and the markets to function properly. It seems there is more pessimism and skepticism this time when the talks are about to happen tomorrow, as it seems so far. But at the same time, I think they need to leave their hawkish positions. The people are interested because the grocery prices, not just in the United States or UK or Europe and other parts of the world, have increased. It has led to more uncertainty and chaos, and so I think the people are very much interested that the leaders to show some maturity, magnanimity, while having some results, and those results, bring normalcy back to the lives of the global community. So they are looking how the leaders on both sides behave in coming hours.
Let's talk about the spoilers. We have hardliners in Iran as well, we all know that. And of course, they have a lot to show to the public, their public as well, because of what they have gone through over the last 47 years, I would say. At the same time, there is a person, a lobby, an ideology in Tel Aviv, which is always in touch with Oval Office. Who is prevailing at the moment? Is it the real foreign policy of Donald Trump at work, or is it AIPAC at work?
Well, I think on both sides, obviously, there are players, but never forget there are opportunists as well. Those who want to make money out of this crisis, and they are doing insiders trading,
Yeah.
and they are controlling the markets. So let's not forget them. So we should not put the burden only on spoilers in Tel Aviv and in Tehran. So these opportunists who are into the stock markets, they are also playing a
You've
role.
raised a
So I think
very pertinent point, and I was about to come at it. The defense contractor and those who are benefiting from these trading. Like 20 minutes before the President Trump announces that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, we have seen $780 billion somebody has, just bought into his or her pockets. So is it more of a profiteering that is prevailing at the moment than peace?
Well, obviously, it seems so far that it's the profiteering which is going on, which there's some people who are making money out of that. And if you have seen the Ghalibaf's tweet last night, that did raise the eyebrows for many in the West. But I think that's where the pressure needs to come from the media, global media, and the American media. What is the reality? And they must not play only from the government side, and they must not toe the government's line. They need to pressurize. The more the Western media will pressurize, I think the Western players, the more things will be normal. And at the same time, I think Iran's public posturing is also very chaotic at times. Today's Iran's foreign office spokesperson did say that we are not going to Pakistan. I think they also need to look inward, that if they don't sit on the table, they will not have a solution for the people or for the people of the region. And obviously, nobody can fight for long. So I think it is important that all sides need to show maturity, and all sides need to get out of that hawkish stance which they had since long, and they need to give peace a chance, and they need to come on table so that hope is alive again.
How do you read the moment? Are the two parties going to be back on the table in the next 72 hours?
Well, I do see they will be on the table because they don't have a choice. And for that matter, it is not the question of bravery, or this is not the question of the capability or the capacity of the both the sides. It is a question that both the sides want to show that they have achieved maximum in the war zone. So they want to achieve maximum on the table. So I think this is Iran's style of putting
Tough
so many.
negotiation.
This is Iranian style to have so many conditions before coming on the table. They did it last time; they're doing it again, and I think they have this right. But they must keep in mind the hope must not go, and these demands must not be to that level where the talks fail or the negotiation ceasefire is broken.
But Dr. Qamar, my last question to you. You're right, Iranians are very tough negotiators. But at the same time, it was a big confidence building measure when they opened the Strait of Hormuz. And President Trump concluded that this is my victory. The blockade is going to be in place. And he hailed it publicly. So what does you make of it? Like, is it bluffing the other side, or is it that US is so sure that finally, eventually, Iranians are going to be on the table, so let's press them the best they can?
Well, I think if the Americans got some kind of relaxation, they must not portray it out of proportion, because that shows even the weakness, and that shows that how you are looking for a kind of breakthrough. So I think much of the media talk and much the tweets which are coming, they are not good for the talks. I think then they need to show maturity. They need to be silent at this moment, and let the result of the talks,
Let the diplomacy
uh,
prevail the way it has prevailed so
let the
far.
diplomacy prevail. And I think let's wait for the results, rather than playing to the public, and
Or the
playing to the
markets.
gallery, or and to the markets. I think that's not necessary. Someone must advise the White House, and someone must advise the players in Tehran, this is a moment that the world is watching these players, and they need to show maturity and magnanimity, I would say.
Dr. Karmachima, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you on our show.